All right, let's talk about something that drives mechanics nuts and leaves drivers stranded in parking lots everywhere. Figuring out whether your car has a bad starter or a bad starter solenoid. Because here's the truth, when you turn that key and nothing happens, everybody's first reaction is, starter's gone. But trust me, it's not always the starter. Sometimes it's the solenoid acting like it pays rent but refuses to work. Today, we're breaking it down the workshop way. Real signs, real checks, and how to tell the difference without guessing or replacing parts for no reason. So picture this. You hop in the car, turn the key, and instead of the engine cranking, you get click. Maybe one click, maybe machine gun clicking, or maybe absolutely nothing at all. Feels like betrayal, right? Before you start yelling at the car or calling a mechanic who will send you a bill with too many zeros, you need to figure out what's happening. And don't worry, we're keeping this simple, like we're leaning over the fender together. First thing, you should know the solenoid is pretty much the starter's hype man. Its job is to take the electrical command from the ignition, push the starter gear into the flywheel, and send power to the starter motor. If the solenoid fails, the starter never gets the memo and your engine stays quiet. But if the starter motor itself is bad, the solenoid can click all day and nothing will turn. One controls power, the other does the spinning. That's the difference in the simplest garage language I can give you. Now, let's listen. You turn the key and you hear a single loud click every time you try to start. That sound right there usually leans toward a bad starter solenoid. The solenoid is trying to engage, but the starter motor isn't responding. Think of it like the solenoid is shouting go and the starter is asleep. If you get rapid clicking, like a fast ticking, that's usually a low battery situation or a connection issue. Not starter, not solenoid, so don't go buying parts yet. But if you turn the key and get one solid thunk and nothing happens, solenoid is suspect number one. On the other hand, let's say there's no clicking at all, silence. Before you blame the solenoid or starter, check the basics. Battery terminals tight? Any corrosion? Battery actually alive? Because 9 times out of 10, people think starters are gone when all the car needed was a battery cleaning or jump. But if the battery is strong, connections are clean, and there's still no noise, it could be a failed solenoid, ignition switch issue, or wiring to the solenoid. But here's one clue mechanics swear by. If you turn the key and the dash doesn't dim or lights don't flicker at all, it might be the solenoid not pulling current or it's simply not getting power. Now let's go to the classic tap test, the move every old school mechanic learns on day one. Grab a light hammer or a wrench and tap the starter body a few times. Don't go swinging like you're breaking concrete. You're waking it up, not fighting it. If the car starts after tapping, that usually means the starter motor brushes are worn or the internal components are sticking. Congratulations, that's a bad starter, not the solenoid. Tap test wakes starters up sometimes because worn internal contacts temporarily reconnect. Solenoids don't usually wake up from tapping, starters do. Another trick, listen when someone turns the key while you stand near the engine bay. If you hear the solenoid clicking loudly but the starter doesn't spin, again, starter motor is likely the culprit. The solenoid did its part, the starter failed. But if you don't hear the solenoid click at all and the battery is confirmed good, that solenoid might just be gone. Now let's talk voltage testing. Quick, simple, no lab coat needed. If you've got a multimeter, put power on the starter terminal while someone turns the key. If power reaches the starter but it won't spin, starter is bad. If power never reaches the starter, solenoid didn't do its job or isn't getting power. If you jump the 2 terminals on the solenoid and the starter cranks, solenoid is bad, but if you jump it and nothing happens, the starter motor is toast. That's what we call mechanical truth serum. Pay attention to behavior before complete failure too. A failing starter often struggles first. Slow cranking, grinding, sounding like it's trying its best but losing the battle. A failing solenoid often gives intermittent clicks or won't engage some days but works fine the next. Starters fade like someone losing stamina. Solenoids act like they're moody and unreliable. 2 very different personalities. Another quick observation. Interior lights. If you try to start the car and lights dim heavily, that means the starter is drawing power but can't spin. That's a starter problem. If lights don't flinch at all, the solenoid likely never engaged, meaning power never got pulled in the first place. Simple, but accurate. Now, let's talk sound one more time, because it's a mechanic's most underrated tool. A grinding noise after starting or while cranking usually points to the starter gear not engaging correctly, which can be either worn starter gear teeth or the solenoid not pushing the gear fully. But if you hear free spinning, like an electric motor running with nothing attached, the solenoid didn't push the gear into the flywheel. Motor spins, nothing turns. That's solenoid duty right there, failing to do the push-in part. And here's some real shop advice. Don't ignore grounds. A loose or dirty engine ground strap can make a good starter act like it's dead. If a starter has weak ground, it'll act lazy or silent even though it's perfectly fine. Always check battery ground to frame and engine block. Power is nothing without ground. Simple rule of life in mechanics. So let's summarize in plain English without turning this into a classroom. One click and no spin, probably solenoid. Rapid clicking, battery or connection. No click at all, solenoid, ignition feed, or wiring, unless power is reaching the starter and it's just dead. Starter spins when jumped, solenoid is bad. Starter does nothing when jumped, starter is bad. Starter works after tapping, starter is done. Start planning its funeral. Lights dim hard, starter's drawing power but failing. Lights don't flinch at all, solenoid didn't engage. See? Real-world logic, not theory. Before we wrap this up, I'll say this. Don't shotgun parts. People replace good starters every day just because the solenoid wire was loose or the battery cable looked innocent but was corroded inside. Always check ground, battery voltage, and wiring first. And in many cars, the starter and solenoid are one assembly anyway. So if one fails, you replace the whole unit. But in older cars and trucks, you can still diagnose and repair separately. Just depends what you're working on. And there you go. Next time your engine just stares at you when you turn the key, you're not guessing, you're diagnosing like someone who actually knows what they're doing. Car won't start doesn't always mean panic. It means listen, test, observe, and go step by step. No part store lottery, no guessing game. Just clean, professional troubleshooting with a little workshop attitude. If this helped you out, give the video a like and subscribe, because keeping your car running shouldn't require a mechanic bill every time it sneezes. Drop a comment if you want me to break down bad alternator versus weak battery next, or if you've got a starting system horror story. We all have one. All right, keep your tools clean, your grounds tight, and I'll catch you in the next one.